Hello and welcome to another episode of Science Monitor, a show that brings to you the most significant news from the world of science, technology, innovation, research, discoveries and much more. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor and here are this week's headlines. Council of Scientific and Industrial Research CSIR to provide Kendriya Vidyalaya students and teachers access to its state-of-the-art laboratories. Medical researchers identified the new antifungal resistance fungi Candida or superbug responsible for severe infections leading to deaths in hospital intensive care units. IIT Madras researchers invent a new device powered by solar energy to ward off wild animals from agricultural fields. Clinical studies by the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences. Extensive research to validate the health benefits of yoga. And in our career segment, we look at the emerging science-based fields of forensics and actuarial science. Our top story this week. In a unique initiative to connect school students with scientists, the Government of India has launched a new program named Jigyasa. Now, under the program, the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, or the CSIR, and Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan have signed a memorandum of understanding where CSIR will provide students and teachers access to its state-of-the-art laboratories across the country. Science Monitor tells you more about Jigyasa.
The Jigyasa program between CSIR and Kendriya Vidyalaya aims to inculcate scientific curiosity and temper among students by taking ahead classroom education to research laboratory-based learning. The initiative is set to connect 1,151 Kendriya Vidyalaya schools across the country with 38 CSIR or Council of Scientific and Industrial Research labs.
ये साइंटिफिक टेम्परामेंट लाना छात्रों में, यही तो इस मिशन का कार्यक्रम है। जिज्ञासा मिशन का उद्देश्य छात्रों में वैज्ञानिक मानसिकता को पैदा करना, उसको बढ़ावा देना।
Jigyasa will provide students and teachers access to CSIR labs located in different parts of the country. The activities also include student residential programs, visits of scientists to schools, science exhibitions, lecture series, and allowing students to design and implement their own experiments in CSIR labs.
हम हमारे CSIR के वैज्ञानिकों की सहायता से और केंद्रीय विद्यालय संगठन के लगभग एक साल में 1 लाख बच्चों को और 1000 टीचर्स को वहाँ पर जाकर 2-3 सप्ताह वहाँ पर रुककर और साइंस की लेबॉरेटरीज़ में विज्ञान के अंदर जो कुछ नया हो रहा है, कैसे रिसर्च होती है, कैसे अलग अलग क्षेत्रों की समस्याओं को समाधान करने में विज्ञान उपयोगी है, इसका डायरेक्ट उनको जो है एक्सपोजर कराएंगे। हमारे जो आने वाले भविष्य के अंदर जो वैज्ञानिक बनने वाले हैं, देश की समस्याओं के समाधान के लिए आने वाले वर्षों के अंदर उनका बहुत महत्वपूर्ण योगदान हो, इसके लिए है ये जिज्ञासा।
Jigyasa is one of the major initiatives taken up by CSIR at national level during its Platinum Jubilee celebration year. CSIR is widening and deepening its scientific social responsibility further with the program. The program will boost spirit of inquiry and inculcate methodological approach to solve problem in students, and is a leap forward in promoting young minds to pursue the field of science.
The upcoming months may witness Indian doctors working overtime because a new antifungal resistant fungi Candida or superbug is infecting patients and even taking lives in intensive care units of hospitals in Delhi and Chennai. Now, a superbug is a disease-causing organism that cannot be killed with available antibiotics. But in a breakthrough, medical researchers have now identified this superbug. This step will help save many lives if the correct precautions are taken to eliminate the superbug in hospitals. Science Monitor brings you this report.
In a recent study done in hospitals in Delhi and Chennai, researchers found that a fungus called Candida auris is present in hospital premises and is likely to infect people who get admitted to intensive care units with prolonged hospital stay. Most vulnerable are those who are immunosuppressed patients like diabetics or organ transplant patients. This fungus is resistant to most available drugs prescribed by doctors. To date, 3 categories of drugs are available to treat fungal infections. These are azoles, amphotericin B, and echinocardins. The doctors tested if these available drugs can kill the fungus. They cultured the fungus in the lab on media with different antibiotics. They found that this fungus is resistant to frequently prescribed azoles and amphotericin and mildly susceptible to echinocardins. Doctors in routine practice prefer prescribing azoles and amphotericin B because echinocardins are expensive of the 3 antifungal drugs, and it adds burden of cost to the patients.
We work on fungal infections, and these fungal infections occurs in patients who are admitted in intensive care units. So what we observed that a fungus which caused infections in these patients was newly recognized in many hospitals, and that was Candida auris. Candida auris, when we first isolated this fungus, we did the susceptibility testing, and we observed that this fungus was resistant to antifungals.
This fungus is not limited to Indian hospitals alone and has been reported in hospitals of Pakistan, Japan, Korea, Spain, UK, South Africa, Venezuela, Colombia, and USA. This superbug calls for immediate action from public, medical community and Indian authorities because more than 30% of patients that get infected by this fungus are likely to die. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, European and American disease control organizations have issued health alerts for strict monitoring of Candida auris cases. Doctors recommended specific preventive measures to deal with this fungus in India.
To prevent these infections, it is very important to take strict infection control practices rigorously, which include contacts of the patients to be segregated, which also includes a thorough cleaning of the hospital environment, the rooms where the patient was admitted, by either using hydrogen peroxide or by other agents. A terminal cleaning of those rooms is important before another patient is admitted in the same care unit.
This fungus can survive in the hospital for more than 3 months after an infected patient has left. In spite of the increasing number of cases of this superbug in the country, Indian doctors and hospital management believe that proper arrangement can be made to stop the spread of this bug well in time. Doctors have advised that hospitals should be cleaned rigorously after a patient is discharged.
And it's time for a very short break here. When we come back, we will bring to you a report on how farmers' losses due to raids in their fields can be significantly reduced by a new device. But that's after a very short break. Keep watching Science Monitor.
मई 1916 को पंजाब के एक छोटे से गांव सांदवान में ज्ञानी जैल सिंह का जन्म हुआ। तब ये इलाका फरीदकोट रियासत का हिस्सा था। मां का साया बचपन में ही छिन गया। इस वजह से पढ़ लिख नहीं पाए, लेकिन सिख धर्म की शिक्षाओं के बारे में वो काफी संवेदनशील थे। शायद इसी कारण बिना मैट्रिक पास किए सिख मिशनरी कॉलेज में उनका दाखिला हो गया। यहीं से उन्हें ज्ञानी की उपाधि मिली, जो बाद में उनके साथ जीवन भर जुड़ी रही। जब ज्ञानी जी नौजवान थे तो आजादी के आंदोलन में सक्रिय हो गए। फरीदकोट में पहले प्रजामंडल और फिर कांग्रेस की स्थापना में उन्होंने महत्वपूर्ण योगदान दिया। इस नाते रियासती पुलिस ने उन्हें जेल में डाल दिया और काफी यातनाएं दी। 1949 में उन्होंने पंजाब के राजस्व मंत्री और 1951 में कृषि मंत्री की जिम्मेदारी संभाली। 1955 में वो प्रदेश कांग्रेस कमेटी के अध्यक्ष बने और 1956 से लेकर 1962 तक राज्यसभा के सदस्य रहे। 1972 में उन्हें पंजाब के मुख्यमंत्री पद की जिम्मेदारी दी गई। इसके बाद 1980 में वो पहली बार लोकसभा पहुंचे और इंदिरा गांधी के मंत्रिमंडल में उन्होंने गृह मंत्री का पद संभाला। 2 साल बाद वो भारत के नए राष्ट्रपति थे।
I,
Zail Singh,
do swear in the name of God
do swear in the name of God
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of India
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of India
and will, to the best of my ability,
best of my ability,
preserve, protect and defend the Constitution and the law.
Preserve, protect and defend the Constitution and the law, and that I will devote myself to the service and well-being of the people of India.
स्वभाव से ज्ञानी जी हंसमुख और संवेदनशील थे। आम आदमी की समस्याएं उन्हें हमेशा परेशान करती थीं। यात्राओं के दौरान लोगों से मिलना जुलना अच्छा लगता था। कुछ अपवादों को छोड़कर उनका कार्यकाल शानदार रहा। 29 नवंबर 1994 को एक सड़क हादसे में गंभीर रूप से घायल होने के बाद उन्होंने इस दुनिया से विदाई ले ली।
Welcome back after the break. You're watching Science Monitor. Now, the Ministry of Agriculture has estimated that wild animal raids into agricultural fields and farms sometimes cause up to 50% loss to farmers in pulse crops. By making a new device to ward off animals from agricultural fields, scientists at the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, could bring relief to many farmers across the country. Here is our report.
Fields closer to forests and open areas are vulnerable to wild animals such as antelopes, deer, wild boar, and even elephants who come in search of food, especially at night. With forest habitats shrinking, it is leading to a serious human-animal conflict across the country. As per the Ministry of Agriculture 2009 estimate, animal raids in farms have caused as high as 50% loss in pulses crop in some parts of India. Farmers end up losing a large part of their crops if they do not guard them or fence the fields, which is not always possible. Now, a recent development from the Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Madras, can help farmers save their fields without harming wild animals. Professor Abhijit Deshpande, along with his students Ravi Khatri and Sarat Kumar, have made a new device that animals entering the fields and rings an alarm and produces flashes of light to startle the animals back into the forests.
In this context, we were approached by Major Arjun Gopal Ratnam in terms of a problem he was facing. His farm is about 70 kilometers adjoining Chengalpet Reserve Forest, and there was periodic intrusions of animals into his farm. And given a small land holding that he has, expensive solutions are really not possible to be implemented. And he wanted something which is inexpensive at the same time reliable, which could detect and possibly deter animals from entering into the farm. And with this problem statement, we went ahead and tried to look at interested students and faculty members within IIT Madras and posed this problem and are working towards a solution.
This device is made up of two types of sensors, an alarm and a flashlight. The sensors used in the device are infrared and microwave sensors. While infrared sensors detect heat radiating from animal bodies, the microwave senses motion in the dark. When both the sensors get activated together, they signal to ring the alarm and flashlight through a wired circuit. This wired circuit is placed underground along the periphery of the farm, making an invisible boundary. Importantly, the device gets charged from solar light. The device costs approximately 2,000 rupees as of now, but the scientists are trying to reduce the cost to less than 1,000 rupees.
Right now, it's being done within IIT. Within IIT, we have, for example, deer. So if deer crosses, it can be done even during the night, and we can watch and monitor and see the success rate. One of the main problems with such technology is there should not be false alarm, an indication of intrusion when there is no intruder. And so we will try it out within the campus, and then the next stage is to look at in the farm itself.
Presently, sensor works well when the animal is 5 meters away. Scientists aim to improve this range even further by putting in better sensors and are studying with sounds that are more effective in keeping the animals away.
Like that, the alarm will trigger and it will detect the presence of a wild animal.
Now that the device has been tested successfully in the IIT campus area, there are plans to test it in the crop fields later this year.
Yoga has become popular across the globe because many people believe that it is good for health. But is there a scientific basis? Extensive research to correlate and validate the health benefits of yoga through long-term research? The researchers at the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences in Bangalore have conducted clinical studies over many years and have found positive results. Here is a report.
Yoga is believed to benefit physical and mental health, but clinical studies prove its benefits were lacking. Now, doctors at National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences NIMHANS in Bangalore have done a clinical study to confirm the positive effects of yoga on depression. These results were published in the Indian Journal of Psychiatry. Depression affects more than 300 billion people globally and is a leading cause of deaths in people between 15 to 29 years. To study the effects of yoga, doctors divided patients with depression into groups. The first group did yoga alone. The second group received only antidepressant medicines. The third group received medicines and did yoga. There was also a fourth group of healthy volunteers. The patients were advised to complete a yoga module on a daily basis. In the beginning of the study, doctor measured the levels of cortisol in patients' blood and compared it to healthy people.
Yoga seems to improve the brain and the body's ability to repair itself. The yoga increases this property called as neuroplasticity. So this is the ability of the brain to repair. Just like our skin repair itself when we have a wound, the brain also has this ability to repair itself, and yoga increases this capacity as shown by changes in various brain chemicals such as the brain derived neurotrophic factor and the reduction in the stress hormone cortisol.
Patients with depression have high levels of hormone cortisol in their blood. Cortisol is produced by adrenal glands that are situated above the kidney in response to stress, inflammation and low blood glucose levels. Cortisol cannot enter the brain from the blood directly. To exert its effect on the brain, cortisol binds to and activates the glucocorticoid receptors that are present on the blood-brain barrier membrane. The glucocorticoid receptor regulates the expression of factors such as brain-derived neurotrophic factor or BDNF that induces neuronal cell death, which causes many effects including depression. At the end of the 3 months, patients who did yoga and received medicines together had lower cortisol levels, which meant less depression. Doctors say that this effect could be because yoga reduces stress in patients, which lessen depression. The NIMHANS study suggests that yoga can be used as a therapy with medicines and counseling to treat depression. Besides depression, doctors at NIMHANS are studying the effects of yoga on other mental disorders like schizophrenia, epilepsy, autism, obsessive-compulsive and attention deficit disorder. Doctors say yoga has positive effects on the brain's capacity to repair itself. The brain is made up of millions of nerve cells called neurons that are connected to each other, forming a signaling network, which is important for the normal functioning of the brain. During injury, the neurons die or lose connection with other neurons, which causes mental disorders. Brain has the capacity to heal itself by forming new neuronal cells. Doctors say that yoga reduces stress and hormones like cortisol, which helps the patient to recover faster.
The second disorder I would talk about possibly is something that has not been explored much. It's a condition called as schizophrenia. It is a very severe mental health condition in which the person becomes deluded, they think that some people are trying to kill them, or they hear voices, they become disorganized, they cannot take care of themselves. So for this, medicines are needed, but in addition, yoga has proved that it is a very efficacious add-on treatment, and it improves the ability of these patients not only to get the symptoms of the condition better, but actually perform better in social situations.
Mental disorders affect close to 10% of the world's population. Between 1990 and 2013, the number of people suffering from depression and anxiety disorder have increased by nearly 50%, from approximately 416 to 615 million. With new research that shows the benefits of yoga, doctors can think of advising yoga along with standard medicines, counseling and lifestyle changes.
Another very short break here, and coming up after the break in our career segment, we look at the emerging fields of forensics and actuarial science. Keep watching Science Monitor.
देश के नए उपराष्ट्रपति के चुनाव कार्यक्रम का ऐलान हो गया है। अधिसूचना के साथ नामांकन की प्रक्रिया शुरू हो गई है। 18 जुलाई तक नामांकन दाखिल किए जा सकेंगे। 19 जुलाई को नामांकन पत्रों की जांच होगी। 21 जुलाई तक नाम वापसी हो सकेगी। जरूरत पड़ने पर 5 अगस्त को मतदान होगा और इसी दिन परिणाम घोषित होंगे। राज्यसभा के महासचिव शमशेर के शरीफ उपराष्ट्रपति चुनाव के निर्वाचन अधिकारी हैं।
Thanks for staying with us. Now, to help you choose the perfect career choice with the ongoing college admissions, Science Monitor brings to you 2 specialized courses this week: Forensics and Actuarial Sciences. From the government to the private sector, both these career choices have a growing demand. Here is a report.
If you are a science student who loves subjects like mathematics, statistics and economics, Actuarial Science could be the course for you. Actuarial science is the study of using mathematical tools to develop financial models. This course can be done from anywhere in India, including both government and private institutions. As of now, a few universities offer this course. These include University of Madras in Tamil Nadu, Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata, Amity School of Insurance and Actuarial Science in Noida, and Institute of Actuaries of India in Mumbai. Outside India, this course is quite popular. It offers subjects like finance, probability, insurance, statistics, pension and investment. A good aspect of this course is that to get admission, you don't need to appear for any competitive exam. After completing a degree in actuarial science, you can work as an analyst in knowledge process outsource, that is KPO firms like WNS, Global, Tata Consultancy Services, and for insurance companies, banks and risk management organizations. Actuarial science course requires students to do at least 3 years of consistent hard work to qualify a series of exams to become a certified actuary.
Statistics or economics or mathematics or commerce, right? These are most, otherwise one can be from any field, but from these 4, then plus if someone has cleared say about 3 or 4 papers of the actuarial core technical series papers of the Institute of Actuaries India, then one can safely get a job of about say 3 to 5 lakhs in the industry as an actuarial apprentice or actuarial trainees.
The other interesting course this week is Forensic Science. After passing a Bachelor in Science exams, you can pursue a MSc in Forensic Science from Gujarat Forensic Science Laboratory in Gandhinagar, Punjab University in Chandigarh, Department of Psychology at Jamia Millia Islamia in New Delhi, Dr. Hari Singh Gaur University in Madhya Pradesh, Kurukshetra University in Haryana, Agra University in Uttar Pradesh, and the University of Delhi. Forensic science is the study of applying scientific analysis to help prove the events of a crime. That evidence can include blood, saliva, plant fibers, drugs, alcohol, and paint chips. When students opt a course in forensic science, they get to learn subjects like criminology, behavioral science, biology, chemistry, toxicology, handwriting analysis, medical legal case studies with emphasis on laboratory methods and hands-on training.
Well, we take students from all disciplines of science: physics, chemistry, botany, zoology, mathematics, computer science. And as I said, it's a multidisciplinary subject. It involves a bit of everything, although it's mainly chemistry and biology. But then the one who wants to learn ballistics, he has to have some knowledge of physics. The one who wants to learn DNA fingerprinting should have some knowledge of biology. So it's a very heterogeneous group.
After completing a course in forensic science, a student can work as a forensic expert in organizations such as Central Bureau of Investigation and Intelligence Bureau, in research laboratories such as Central Forensic Science Laboratory and Loknayak Jayaprakash Narayan National Institute of Criminology and Forensic Science under the Ministry of Home Affairs. They can also work as legal counselor in courts and private law firms. Some profiles include working in forensic laboratories across India under the Ministry of Home Affairs.
And before we sign off for today, in the history of science this week, we tell you about Camillo Golgi, who is considered the greatest neuroscientist and biologist of his time. Camillo Golgi won the Nobel Prize for Physiology Medicine in 1906. He shared it with Santiago Ramon y Cajal for discovering the structure of the human nervous system. In his lifetime, he received more than 80 honorary degrees, diplomas and awards, which are exhibited at the Historical Museum at the University of Pavia, where he studied medicine and served as the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine later in his life. He has a cell organelle, Golgi apparatus and certain kinds of nerve cells, Golgi type 1 and 2, named after him. Well, that is all for this episode of Science Monitor. You can send your feedback and suggestions to Science Monitor on our email ID, news@vigyanprasar.gov.in. You can also write into us at Vigyan Prasar, C24, Qutub Institutional Area, New Delhi 110016. That is all for this episode of Science Monitor. I'll see you again next week with another episode of Science News and Innovations. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha TV. Thanks for your time.